Okay, today I'm going to show you how to clean a Pentair 4000 series DE filter. It's a 60 square foot model. The first thing we do is we come over here and we turn on the system. Once the system's on and running, we open up this pressure gauge to let the air out. Okay, the water shot out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and turn everything off. We want to make sure it's not going to come back on. Just past the tripper there. You can also turn off the system right here. It's very important to make sure it doesn't turn back on when you're taking this clamp off, because if it does come back on when you're taking this clamp off, it could cause serious injury or fatality, as the pressure from this the pump through the filter is pretty intense. So we just simply go ahead and unscrew this here, and then we'll take the clamp off. Okay, I took that bolt off, so now I just take this clamp off and let it fall to the ground. There's a couple ways to get this pump lid off. One way is to let the air out of this here, and that creates back pressure, and you should be able to just push it off from there, like so. It just pushes off. I'll show you the second method right now. Let's say you try that, it doesn't work. What you can do is come over here and quickly give it just turn on the system real quick if that method fails. And as you can see, the water will just blow that off, and you just turn that off again. Next thing we're going to want to do is open up the backwash, and it's right here on the bottom is the rotator valve. And we just push this all the way to the other end. As you can see, the water is coming out of the backwash at that point as I move that valve. It's very important to move that back when you finish the job, put the earth back in. Otherwise, you put the element in backwards, and it'll just make a big mess in your pool. And that's the inside of the U filter. You can see the earth is coating the grids, trapping the dirt onto the grids there, and that's what the DE does. I'll go show you that right now. Okay, these are the things you're going to need as you clean the filter. You're going to need either silicone lube or magic lube, which is sold at the pool store. For the O-ring, when you put the lid back on, you got to lubricate that. Try not to use WD-40, that will degrade the O-ring. You also need a high pressure nozzle, and you need a bag of this right here is a 10-pound bag, and they do sell 25-pound bags of earth also. And this is the element that coats the grids right there. And of course you have optional equipment like a gas mask. This here is a World War II one, as I will use when I put the earth in, and I also use an apron, that way I don't get too dirty when I do this. Okay, so what we do next is we take this top bolt off. I like to reverse it when I put it on, much easier. I just put it in my pocket here so I don't lose it, and you just pull this manifold off, it comes right off like that. One thing I also do is I take the air bleeder and I take the top off of it, that way it doesn't get lost when you're cleaning it. It tends to fall off pretty easily, so instead of losing this, I just take it off, put it in my pocket. Okay, so then we continue when we take all the grids out one by one. Okay, so all the grids are out, and you have some earth that formed in the middle. I'll just take that out with my hands. What I like to do now is hose out the tank so I can check the manifold to make sure there's no cracks. So I just put the hose in there and I put it really good. Okay, so that's all cleaned out, and I can see the manifold is fine. Sometimes they will form cracks here, and that will cause earth to leak back in, so always check that when you clean the filter. Okay, so I have all the grids lined up here. I'll just take one here and okay, it's fairly easy to reinsert them. You just put the grid in each manifold. It won't quite snap in, but you'll actually see it go in there. If you can see, there's actually some plastic marks that kind of guide the grid in. And then on the bottom of each grid, you have the mark where it actually sits in the filter. So you'll actually feel it kind of fit in there snug. You'll know you get it right when you feel that snug fit, and it's not wobbling around in there. And we're basically just building the same pattern that we had when we took it out, and the grid's going something like that. And before I put the manifold on, I'll put that air bleeder back on there, and attach it. There we go. Okay, so all 8 grids are back in. Now I'll get the manifold back on top. And you can see that this is flat on all the grids, holding them in really good. And you know you got it on correctly at that point. Then I go ahead and I put the nut back on here. Again, I reverse it, that way it tends not to drop when you do it that way. If you put it on the other way, sometimes you'll fumble it and it'll fall down there. You gotta take the whole thing apart to get the nut out. So I've been putting them upside down for years now to kind of help myself from dropping them down there after learning the hard way, of course. I'm gonna check the O-ring to make sure it's still good. And this one here is good, so we kind of replaced it last year. I take the silicone spray and I give it a real nice spray. Go around it. So now we're ready to put the lid back on. Okay, I got the lid and I'm putting it back on. It's a little bit heavy, pretty big filter. And you can actually wobble it back on. And it should just slide back on if the O-ring is good by just wobbling and pushing down on the side. Looks good, the water's coming out clean. Over here and we get the backwash. We pull it back into position all the way over, and that's perfectly fine right there. Okay, we'll go ahead and let the air out of it once we turn it back on. And the water out, and let the water out, make sure it's all pressurized. And there we go. Now let's put the earth in. Okay, the back of the bag will actually tell you how much earth to put in. Basically, the rule of thumb is 60 square foot, so I put 10 pounds of earth. If it's 48 square foot, I put 8 pounds. If it's 36 square foot, I put 6 pounds of earth. You can see how that kind of goes. The last number is the amount of earth you put in. So again, 36 pound filter, 6 pounds, 48 pound filter, 8 pounds, and then the 60 square foot one right here, I put 10 pounds in. And that makes it very easy to calculate. So I'm going to put 10 pounds of earth into this filter right now. You can use a 1 pound coffee can, or you can just get one of these earth scoopers. And I like to put one in, and just to make sure that there's no blowback in the pool, so let me check the line. And as you can see, there's no earth coming back in, so that means the filter is sealed without leaks. I'm going to put the rest of the earth in slowly. I like to put it in slow, that way the pump basket doesn't get clogged up. And that's 2 right there, and I'll put the rest of it in. Okay, there you have it. That's the 4000 series Purex filter, completely clean, and I hope that was helpful.